said, something like that. He said, when? He said, well, today. He says, you mean you want me to go home and actually live with you? The boy was still not convinced. Went on, and the father understood what the son was saying. He said, listen, son, I want to be your father. No one ever dared told him that before. He said, I want to be your father. I don't want you just to live with me. I don't want you just to come home, stay with me a couple days. I want to father you. And the father went on. He said, I want to put you through school. I want to put you to college if that's your interest. I want to help you get your business, help you get your first car. I want to be there with you at your next birthday. You hear what I'm saying tonight? I want to be your best man at your wedding. I want to hold my grandchildren. You hear me tonight, saints of God? I told that little story to say this. We see that how Paul is speaking there, and he says, how are we so easily removed? After you've known God, or rather known of him, how can we be so turned again to our weak and beggarly elements? You see, there was a day when you and I was in the very shoes that this young man was in. We was lost. We was useless. We'd been around the mulberry bush twice. We'd been everywhere that we shouldn't have been. You say, well, I was actually a pretty good boy. Well, you was a religious hypocrite then. Either way, you was messed up. And, on and on and on. But yet, one day, and what the thing about it is, everyone had rejected us. Mama and Daddy had looked at God and said, what do I do with this heathen? Think about it. You know what I'm telling the truth? Mom and Daddy prayed at night and said, what in the world? Lord, I failed you. I've raised this boy. He's nothing but a disgrace to me. I was one time, tell you this quickly, I was on the phone one time when I was a young man. Boy, this hurt me more than anything. And I was talking the way I shouldn't have been talking on the telephone. It was a home phone. My old mother, she's always been suspicious. She had the gift of discernment. She had the gift of suspicion. She knew by that red light shining on that phone, somebody was on the other end. Hello? So I was on there talking, and I was talking like a big man. Talking about things I had no business talking about. My mama heard every word, and I didn't know it. Till the next morning when I met Mama. Well, hello, Mama. Hello, Jonathan. I could tell it wasn't that pleasant mother-son type thing. So my suspicion began to run. That hurt me more than anything, that my mother would hear me talking like that. But you see, we was bad, we was evil in our heart and in our mind, no matter how we was raised. Mama's was wondering, Daddy was praying, everybody was doing everything but fasting to wonder what in the world to do for us. And it looked like nothing would change. Right up to the day we got born again, it looked like nothing would be different in our lives. It looked like we would follow the traditions and the trends of the world, even though we was raised in a good godly environment. Went to a private Christian school in church every time the doors were open, but it looked just like we were destined to go the same route as the world. Is that right tonight? Looked like nothing could deter us from going the same path as the systematic people of today. But let me tell you what happened, ladies and gentlemen. A long time ago, before you was ever a thought, before I ever was a thought, before we ever understood what understood means, if you will, there was someone that sat down with you and I, and he looked over our track record. He's seen how ugly Jonathon was, how nasty, how perverted, how unjust, how unrighteous, how unlevel that he was. And you know what he said? He said, they don't know what else wants this kid. He's red-headed, he's freckled face, he's ugly, he's no account. But you know what he said? He's seen further than that, Brother Joel. at the past. He didn't look at what I had done yesterday or 25 minutes before. He's seen the potential of a son of God. And he looked at me one last time and he said, Jonathan, he said, I want to take you to myself. I want to take you to my house. Listen closely. I want to take you to my mansion. I want to introduce you to my wedding supper. I want to take you to my magnificence, if you will. He said, I want to bring you into my street, into my home, into my castle. He said, Jonathon McKinney, family of God, I want to raise you as my own. I want to be your father. I want to be your mother. I want to be your brother. I want to be everything that you need. I want to help you pick a wife. I want to help you get over addictions, drugs, romance, sex, all the things that is keeping you captive. Jonathon McKinney, I want to change your life forever. Give God a hand clap for that. So he changed our lives forever by simply accepting us. Ladies and gentlemen, we could take a lesson from this tonight. What the world is needing tonight isn't the acceptance of their sins. You hear me tonight? What the world is needing tonight isn't the acceptance of their sins, but is the acceptance of the person that is overtaken by the sin. If we could learn to just take them in and treat them as a father, treat them as a mother, and show them in the world where sin is wrong, death is wrong, but righteousness is right, righteousness is right, righteousness is right, then you will produce children for the family of God. But as long as we're self-righteous and we look in the mirror and say, you can only make it by the way I made it, you can only make it by the way I look, then you're going to hell with them. But if we could turn it around and if we could become that father figure, if we can become that father that looks past the addictions, past the romance, past the whoremongering, past the drinking, past the religious character. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can do that, then we can be the Christ of today. But if we cannot, we will be the Antichrist of today. It's pretty strong. You mean the Antichrist? If you're doing anything that's contrary to Christ, you're the Antichrist. It isn't enough to just believe that Jesus died. You have to have his attributes. If I can't see Christ in you, how do I know Christ is there? But if I can see Christ in you, if I know for sure that Christ is in you, then ladies and gentlemen, I am assured I have hope. But if I don't see him in our lives, if I don't see him in our churches, if I don't see him behind the microphones of the pulpits of America, then I know there's no hope. I said there's no hope. We're all looking for a resurrection that will not come. Say that again, we're looking for a resurrection that will not come. We've got in our minds some denominational rap. It's exactly what it is. It's rhetoric. It's not biblical. It's not even in the bounds of the Word of God. It's a rapture theory that was created by a backslid woman, if you will, trying to escape responsibility of being a man of God. But I'm here to tell you, God's always predestinated you and I to be sons of God. And when you become a son of God, you was already raptured. You was already translated into the kingdom of his dear son. But if you've not been raptured, not been translated, then you are lost tonight. It can only come by a royal adoption. No other way can it come. He said, we have our father Abraham. But Jesus said, I don't care who your father is. You're of your father the devil. His works you'll do. You're religious rather than righteous, and you shall burn with the unrighteous. But the adoption makes us on equal playing field tonight. You ever been in a ball game, if you will, that the